Mr. Jacob Lowry.
For any of you who have participated in this project over the last year or have tried to complete one yourself similar, you will understand just how much joy and pleasure it brings to finally say good evening and welcome to the Turquoise Museum. Tonight we are proud to showcase the Turquoise Museum in the all-new Turquoise Castle. The Turquoise Museum has been a labor of love for the last 26 years. And for the last year, we have been working hard to prepare this property for visitors from around the world. We have 4 generations of the Turquoise Museum family in attendance tonight. As the youngest member of the family, I would like to take a moment and introduce the eldest member of our family. Out of the 2nd generation, please help me welcome my great-grandmother, Mrs. Lillian Zachary. I would also like to thank Mayor Keller for making it tonight, and Secretary Schroer, as well as Stephanie Keene as a representative of the governor's office. And of course, welcome to all of our distinguished guests. This evening, the Turquoise Museum will usher in a new chapter and a new adventure as we unveil our new look. As we look back in the history of the family and how the Turquoise Museum came into existence, we have to go back 5 generations. Each generation has made an impact on the Turquoise Museum that is integral. The first generation, Jesse Cordell Zachary Sr. and his wife Laura, introduced the Zachary family to turquoise in the 1930s and became a turquoise miner in 1935. The second generation, Jesse Cordell Zachary Jr. and his wife Lillian, Jesse was more commonly known as Zach, developed a collection of turquoise that has no equal. This has been the foundation that we were able to build the Turquoise Museum on. The third generation, now they were busy. Bob Zachary was a stonecutter and silversmith who Senator Schmidt commissioned to make bullet ties for the Columbia astronauts when they landed at White Sands. Joe and Catherine Zachary Lowry wholesaled turquoise jewelry and art around the globe while establishing industry standards and education. The fourth generation, Joe Dan and Devonna Lowry, helped with the founding of the Turquoise Museum along with Joe and Catherine. Joe Dan has curated the Turquoise Museum since its founding, and Devonna runs our front office and is an integral part of our international brands. The fifth generation, myself and my sister Danielle, grew up in the museum learning and working with our parents and grandparents. And we can't wait to see what the future holds. The Turquoise Museum has developed and grown over the last 26 years. We were founded in a shopping center near Old Town. This large, unassuming building gave us the ability to build and grow with the Turquoise Museum, slowly curating displays to answer each question that anybody could have about the world's most colorful gem. Zach's extensive collection allowed us to delve into the science and mining of turquoise, fascinate people with the histories of turquoise, and educate people on the turquoise available on the market and how to know what they're buying. We started in a small part of the shopping center suite, eventually outgrew it and added the suite next door. Then we outgrew that. We welcomed visitors from around the globe where we presented education through fascination and entertainment. The process for moving the Turquoise Museum into what is now the Turquoise Castle has been underway for about a year. We made our announcement to the general public that we would be moving on April 20th of last year. And in the last 12 months, we have been in a whirlwind of renovation, curating, and planning. As we work through the uniqueness of this property and the intricacies of both the castle and the building next door, we have been diligent in preparing a place for learning. When visitors come to the Turquoise Museum, they will not only learn about turquoise, but they will experience it. And Jacob, what does that mean, experience turquoise? Experiencing turquoise. Turquoise is a gemstone. Turquoise is a color. Turquoise is a culture. And turquoise is a community. The people in the turquoise industry are some of the most unique, quirky, and nicest people you could ever meet. There are so many times that I had people come up to me in the museum and say, you know, I was talking to this old turquoise guy and he just said, here, I want you to have this piece of turquoise. Can you believe that? Well, yeah, I can. Turquoise is that kind of a gemstone. Turquoise, for some reason, there is something about turquoise that attracts some of the nicest people. There is also something about turquoise that draws some of the strangest and weirdest people you could ever meet. And that's what makes turquoise cool. And if I could remember where I was, it would be a lot easier. Yeah, the end. Let's see. And I'm dyslexic, so finding this spot's going to take me a second. In order to really showcase all that turquoise is and has to offer, we have worked to create a space where the culture and the community of turquoise can live. The experience of visiting the Turquoise Museum in the Turquoise Castle will start in our courtyard, where all of you came in tonight, which is planted with beautiful foliage and a really cool fountain. Wasn't that a cool fountain out there? Then you will make your way into our one-of-a-kind gift shop to get your tickets. As you make your way to the castle doors, excitement will build as you walk around the castle to make it to the front. As you enter the Turquoise Castle, you can see up 3 stories, and you are greeted with the turquoise chandelier coming down 3 stories in 94 strands of turquoise beads. When I say 94 strands of turquoise beads, there are 21,500 turquoise beads in the turquoise chandelier. It took 3 months to complete, and then another 3 months to figure out how to display it correctly. Entering the Global Gallery, you will view 15 hand-picked pieces of turquoise art, showcasing art from cultures around the globe and all through history. The ground floor of the museum will fascinate you on the mineral and the gemstone turquoise. 2 of our galleries display turquoise mines from around the U.S. Each turquoise mine has a distinct and different look from any other. Those 2 rooms, you can see every single color that came out of those different mines. As you make your way into our science gallery, you can get a crash course on how to grade turquoise and see some of the most unique formations in the world. You can also learn a little bit of the mineralogy and the geology, like that iron makes turquoise green and copper makes turquoise blue. We also decided that what does every castle need? A mountain inside, with turquoise running through its walls. People can take a flashlight and go try to find as many turquoise formations that are in the tunnel as they can. As you find yourself on the 2nd floor, you can learn about countries and cultures that have used turquoise throughout history. The Egyptians, the Chinese, the Mexicans, the Tibetans, and more. As these cultures traveled and traded, they incorporated shells and coral into their turquoise art. Trade is an important part of the turquoise story. We devoted an entire gallery to the history of trade. Turquoise is also said to have mystical powers, and many cultures believe in their own variation of mystical qualities. Learning the histories and the stories of each culture can be fascinating. We have one entire gallery devoted to Southwest history and Southwest jewelry. We have not 50, not 100, we have over 400 pieces of jewelry on display in that one gallery. One of the things that most people are afraid of is understanding how to buy turquoise when they can't tell if it's a natural stone or not. We decided to devote an entire wing to the imitations of turquoise. the art of developing an imitation, how the imitations are made, and of course, how to shop to where you know what you're buying. When people visit the Turquoise Museum, it's an experience they will never forget. After 26 years, we are proud to continue calling Albuquerque our home. Somebody else that I know is proud to call Albuquerque their home. We are honored tonight to have Mayor Tim Keller with us, and I would like to invite him to the podium. I hear you have a turquoise story that you love to share.
Well, good evening, Albuquerque, and everyone who's come here tonight. I just have to give one shout out from one dyslexic to another. The key is to never have anything to read. Right. So, anyway, I do want to share with you a little bit about Turquoise, but first, I want to thank the Lowry family and everyone who's been involved with this, not only for this most recent endeavor, but also for keeping it alive and well in that old strip mall down on Rio Grande and Central. So it was a humble place that spoke volumes and told a whole lot of stories about our city, our community, and our state. And so for me, it's extra special as mayor to welcome any new museum, especially one that is so core to our culture, and in many ways core to our family. And I think what's so special about what you shared is that connection between what truly turquoise means for those who interact with it and deal with it, but also how it's part of the fabric. In a way, it's sort of the touchstone, if you will, of our city's history and our state's history. And so what I mean by that is, of course, Albuquerque has always been a city at a crossroads. And if you go to the Albuquerque Museum, you can learn this story in detail. But that crossroads has many sort of intersections to it. And of course, it began with the crossroads of our Native American, the Pueblo communities that were here along the Rio Grande, trading in many ways with the folks in the plains going through Tejeras Canyon in and out west. And then, of course, that continued with the Santa Fe Trail and El Camino Real and Route 66. And in that story, in many ways, I want you to maybe visualize for a minute the state fairgrounds and what the fairgrounds originally was before it was the fairgrounds we think of. It was literally a trading post. This was in that era when we used terms like trading posts. In the 1800s, it was a place where often Native American communities would come with settlers and trade. And this is actually what originally the State Fair was. It's originally part of our modern story, if you will, of the city of Albuquerque. And interestingly, it is also why I am even here with you today. So for me, Turquoise has an interesting piece in our own family's history. And it goes a little bit like this. There's also a rail line that crosses through our city that we're well aware of, but it follows the Santa Fe Trail and goes out through Kansas. And my grandfather and his family actually is from a place called Garden City, Kansas, which is a stop on the Santa Fe Chief and was a stop on the Santa Fe Trail coming out here. And my family started coming because my grandfather was a silversmith. And so he would come down to New Mexico several times a year right outside the state fairgrounds, and he would trade turquoise. And of course then make jewelry out of it and then come back the following year. And it's those trips that my family, my father and his brothers went on with my grandfather to Albuquerque that brought, later on, they stayed in Garden City, Kansas, but that's what brought my uncle and then my father out here, were those memories of this amazing place. This place at a crossroads back then in the 30s, seemingly at the edge of sort of all that was happening in America, a place that was still very rural, very raw, and still had a vibrant turquoise trade and silversmithing industry. And so it was that actually drew my parents, my uncle back here, and in many ways really is why I am here today. And so for me, turquoise played a key role in my own family's history, and in many ways is a reflection of so much of that crossroads that is Albuquerque, all reflected in that stone. And so I'm very honored to be here today to congratulate the family and the supporters who put this together. And also now, because we have a new sort of item for tourism to showcase downtown. So I love this location and the castle. Everyone drives by, they drive by and they say, what's the castle for? What's in the castle? Now they can go in and they can learn about turquoise. And that's a great thing for our city, our state, and downtown Albuquerque. So thank you so much for letting me to share a few words, and congratulations on this new turquoise castle. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate you taking the time. There we go. Appreciate you taking the time to be with us. On our new campus, we will be providing an experience that will be hard to forget. The displays in the museum are only the beginning. Over the next year or two, we will begin to add activities to the experience. Have you ever cut a piece of turquoise? Have you ever drilled a hole in a piece of turquoise? Would you like to? We'll be adding all kinds of different activities that people can do. We already offer identifications of turquoise to tell people which mines their turquoise came from and a little bit about their pieces. We will increase this service and add interactive workshops to learn about your specific pieces of turquoise. We will be adding guided tours to the museum as well. It is going to take us probably a year to write the scripts for those guided tours, but we will have 6 different guided tours that you can take. We will have a general museum tour teaching you about turquoise. We'll have handpicked some of the more fascinating pieces of turquoise stones and specimens, and we'll do a turquoise tour. Handpicked pieces of turquoise jewelry and art will be highlighted on the jewelry tour. This is a really cool building, so we will have a castle tour going through the architecture and history of the building. Specifically curated antiques will be the basis of the antiques tour. This will include a handmade desk for King Louis XIII. And finally, the castle is home to 132 chandeliers. So we will be looking up as we guide our chandelier tour. Hands-on learning and personalized information will be the cornerstone of our new location here in downtown. When people can find information they are looking for and enjoy information they never even knew existed, it is a fascinating thing to watch. This is a very special occasion, and we are very proud to have Secretary Schroer with us out of the New Mexico Department of Tourism. And I would like to have you come up. She also has a message from the governor.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jen Schreier, Secretary of Tourism, and I'm honored to be here today on behalf of the governor. We know that turquoise is a mainstay of New Mexico's cultural heritage. It has been mined here for over 1,000 years, and the Lowry family has been involved in the turquoise industry for 5 generations. Albuquerque is fortunate to have such a beautiful tourism asset. Thank you so much for sharing the cultural heritage, not only preserving it, but sharing it with all of Albuquerque. It is my privilege to read a proclamation on behalf of Governor Lujan Grisham. Whereas the Tourism Museum was founded in 1993 to educate the world about turquoise while preserving and researching histories and information about turquoise from around the world. And whereas the Turquoise Museum is a family business with 5 generations dating back to the 1930s, they are proud to educate each generation. And whereas the Tourism Museum has moved to downtown Albuquerque to continue to showcase the world's most colorful gemstone to the world. And whereas the Turquoise Museum is and will continue to be a premier tourist destination for Albuquerque and New Mexico. And whereas the Turquoise Museum is an impressive display of natural turquoise, turquoise art, history, culture, science, and color. And whereas on April 5th, 2019, a ribbon-cutting ceremony will be held to celebrate the opening of the Turquoise Museum. The museum welcomes New Mexicans and tourists to their new home. And now, therefore, I, Michelle Lujan Grisham, Governor of the State of New Mexico, do hereby proclaim April 5th, 2019 as Turquoise Museum Day throughout the state of New Mexico. Congratulations.
Thank you. Let me get a picture. Yeah, if I can hide the script.
Can I hold the script for you?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm trying to look at first. Congratulations. Oh, script back.
Yeah, I need this one back. Thank you to Secretary Schreier. Again, dyslexic, sorry about that. As we mark the opening of the Turquoise Castle, home of the Turquoise Museum, we are honored to have with us here 4 generations of our family. At this time, I would like to introduce our family to you. As I call your name, please come up. If you can untie that one. Please come up and take a pair of scissors from behind this planter, and we're going to cut the ribbon. I would also like to, as a special announcement, like to thank Flowers by Zacklow, which is our flower shop, and my lovely sister Danielle for making all of our beautiful arrangements. So my great-grandma, Lillian Zachary. Great-grandma was married to Zach and enjoyed their adventures as they traveled the world collecting turquoise. My great-uncle, Robert Zachary, and his lovely wife, Jean Phillips. Yeah. And if I can have the mayor and the secretary come up and stand 2 steps up, I think. My grandma and grandpa, Joe and Catherine Lowry. Co-founders of the Turquoise Museum, longtime owners of Zacklow, grandma and grandpa have added educational information to the museum. And I forgot to read the part about Uncle Bobby and Aunt Jean. Uncle Bob was one of the first to do every part of the turquoise industry, from mining to lapidary, silversmithing, study, and sales. He did it all. My parents, Joe Dan and Devonna Lowry. Who have continued the family legacy of hospitality and the enjoyment of the many facets of turquoise. And my lovely sister, Danielle Lowry. She is the one in our generation that has learned silversmithing, and she is the best partner I could ask for as we go down this journey.
And now you?
Yep.
All right.
I'll let you hold these. Does everybody have their scissors?
Yes. Everybody gets scissors,
Every-
couple except for
Hang on to that.
Right.
right?
Huh?
You gotta hang on to that.
We have the lapel mic on.
Yep, there, Grandma.
Got it? Everybody's got it. So, everybody can get scissors close.
Not too close to anybody.
Yeah, don't cut anybody's fingers off. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present for the first time the Turquoise Castle, home of the Turquoise Museum. 1, 2, 3.